Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over the market. Let's talk about what happened to NVIDIA stock, what we can expect moving into next week. Next week could be a pretty spicy one for NVIDIA because we have FOMC on Wednesday. And if I'm not mistaken, Jensen himself is speaking at another conference Tuesday evening. I think we all know what happened in the last conference. This was this one, I believe. No, it was this one here. I think it was this, no. I think it was this one here. I think it was this conference right here. This is when he spoke last time and we had a crazy, kind of sell the news type event happening there. Whether or not that'll happen again, we'll see. I don't think it'll be, if it does, I don't think it'll be this aggressive personally. But yeah, let's go over NVIDIA stock. I'll give you my thoughts moving into next week. But if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day. The market is open for just $3 a month, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks as well. Or for $5 a month, you get access to everything in the first tier, plus NVIDIA daily updates. Every single day, the market is open. As is open, I'm constantly sharing updates, thoughts on the charts as it's trading. So yeah, link is below. But if you're interested, check it out. Jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day with a respectable almost 5.5%, we'll say. Closing at 121 and change, or almost 122 even, we'll say, which is good, which is very, very good. Closing back above the 21 EMA, getting back above the cloud. A lot of good news setting up for NVIDIA here. I think NVIDIA is actually looking pretty potent. And obviously we have the weekly, right? This is one thing I was talking about for quite some time. We got the close I was looking for, which is good. Now, again, the bulls are not fully out of the woods yet, right? Why? Because we still have this bearish EMA cloud up here that NVIDIA needs to essentially reverse as well. But closing below this level would have been very concerning to me. So the fact that we close above it is good. That it essentially means that the bulls have, extra lives, if you will, to, still continue, really trying to push the stock back up with momentum, right? The hope is still there for the bulls is what I'm trying to say, especially a nice little increase in volume, which is good. That's good. The hope for bulls is still very much alive, in my opinion. We could get a bit of sideways action like this for a couple of weeks or so potentially. That is a possibility. As we probably find resistance somewhere around the 130, which also lines up with the daily. I'll show you soon. But yeah, that's kind of the weekly. The point is the fact that we close above the 50 EMA. We can argue the fact that this is a false flag. You can argue the fact that this is also a bullish piercing candle. And overall, I do lean more bullish now on NVIDIA overall than bearish until we eventually, at some point, potentially close a weekly, essentially back below 116, 117, 118, something like that, right? If we ever close a weekly back down below that, I will be very bearish. But as long as we maintain our weekly closures above that level, I started leaning bullish. Now, I'm not full on bullish yet, mainly because of this cloud here. There's still work to do to flip this back around, but I am starting to lean bullish once again, which is good. Now, obviously, that's on the kind of more, zoomed out approach, right? Obviously on the daily, we have this, beautiful touch of the bottom trend line of the channel. You really couldn't have asked for a more perfect touch. I did enter, but I exited too soon because I was in too many other positions. So I didn't want to get too crazy into the market. There's still some uncertainties with CPI, PPI. I didn't want to take the big risk there. But nonetheless, if you caught this entry and you're still holding, congratulations. That's absolutely, you really couldn't have asked for a better entry. So what do we have to look out for, on the daily chart, right? We already know the weekly is saved. The weekly, what am I looking for here? Like, major warning signs averted, at least for now, right? Which is good, right? That gives the bulls some nice, well-deserved breathing room. Now we look at the daily, right? What is the daily suggesting? The daily is suggesting the fact that I think best case scenario, and this is what I kind of said on the weekly with the 130, right? Best case scenario, at some point or another, maybe towards the end of the month, potentially, right? NVIDIA can definitely retest about 130, right? That is pretty much the top of this channel once again, and that is going to be my potential target late this month, maybe early next month, something like that, as we maybe kind of zigzag like this, kind of upwards, blah blah blah, do its thing, maybe we just push up very aggressively straight up to it like this, again, pretty much to about the very low 130s, right? Depending on how fast it happens. That's the part I don't know, right? Maybe it'll happen fast, maybe it'll happen slow, I don't know. But I do believe that the momentum has slowly started to shift to the more bullish perspective now for NVIDIA. It's starting to reclaim these moving averages, and it's kind of starting to look a lot like it did over here, which is a good sign. Now, whether or not it'll play out exactly like this is a different story entirely, but the point is the fact that similar behavior, which is good. Bounce off the trend line back to the cloud, closing above the clouds, right? Again, very, very similar behavior. Good news for sure. So overall, my target, essentially, as long as NVIDIA pretty much holds about 116 to 118, as long as that $2 range holds, I think NVIDIA is looking pretty damn solid. with my main target again towards the end of the month being somewhere about $130 per share. We could potentially get a rally to 126, get a rejection, come back down, retest this kind of 118, 117 level, and then make our way back up. That's a possibility with the 50 EMA on the daily right here. Again, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I'm not going to try to predict every single candle and how it's going to move. That's impossible. That's like, who the hell knows, right? But the idea is the fact that the trajectory and the momentum is starting to lean to the bullish side, in my opinion. Not financial advice, just my thoughts. Another thing I like is on the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart is looking pretty damn good. We have officially started making higher highs, higher lows. Nice change of character. Nice break above the 50 EMA. All right, we have the 8 and the 21 EMAs crossing above the 50 as well. And I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better look. This is exactly what I want to be seeing for a stock to begin a reversal. Now, Mondays have been, not historically, but for the last, few weeks or so have been the most bearish days of the week. Mondays have been pretty bearish. Whether or not we get that on Mondays, a question entirely. But, what I'm looking for in NVIDIA now is a retest of this area right around this kind of 118-ish zone, right around here, to turn it back into support, right? I mean, there's a chance that it just continues doing this, stair-stepping very aggressively up. But to me, a healthier move, because you can see last time what happened, what happened last time where we just completely rocketed back up, right? It wasn't a very healthy move, and we ended up getting a substantial rejection back down even further. Like, you don't actually want a stock to rocket up this fast. Like, that's not usually a healthy movement. That usually implies it's just, a dead cat, a short covering or whatever, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. You want the stock to move up in a healthy pattern, right? You want it to move up in a healthy fashion. So a healthy fashion for NVIDIA here, for instance, would be anywhere around here, we find a rejection, come back down, retest this range. That was, of course, a resistance here, back into support. Again, 118, 117, something like that, right? And then make our way back up and have a nice, healthy movement back up, as opposed to just very aggressive like this with hardly any pullbacks. That's not healthy, right? That's not good for the stock. And it kind of warrants some questions as to the validity of the move, which, as you saw already, that I just pointed out on the daily that we experienced after that DeepSeek crash and then rally. So just, let's watch for that. Let's watch for that. But for me personally, I'll be very interested to pick up NVIDIA if we get that retest back here. If we don't, then, it is what it is. If we do, I'm very interested, and I will be entering, as long as we pretty much hold 117, 118 roughly. So that's probably the main thing I'm looking at right now. Let me think if there's anything else to really mention that's, crucial. I think that's pretty much the majority of it. I mean, you can see the RSI starting to get pretty overbought in the 1 hour. And this is back to the 14-day RSI. The 14-day RSI and the 1 hour is actually pretty potent. Pretty useful stuff. It almost feels like it's pretty similar to the daily 5-day RSI. I did switch back to the 14 for now. But yeah, RSI is getting a little bit, overextended here. You can see in the 1 hour chart. So I wouldn't be surprised, maybe we get one more small push, but, ultimately we start finding a rejection around here. Worst case for the bears, I guess, but maybe go as high as 125, which is that level up here. You can see the pivot points, get a rejection, make our way back down, 118, 117, most likely find it as support, and then most likely make our way back up even higher with my main target, again, closer to $130 per share. Again, probably somewhere towards the end of the month, something like that, right? That's kind of the main way I'm looking at it right now moving forward. Nice, healthy, good movement on the stock is what I'm expecting and what I'm kind of honestly hoping to see from NVIDIA moving forward. And that's pretty much what I'm, the main thing I'm eyeballing right now. Not really much else to say. It's looking pretty good. I think the stock is overall looking pretty good. The weekly is looking pretty solid now. Definitely gave the bulls some nice hope here. The daily is looking pretty nice. Can't complain too much there. Hourly is looking pretty nice. Like every time frame to me is looking pretty good. I'd be pretty surprised if we don't see 130 by the end of the month. I'll be completely honest with you. Maybe sooner, but probably by the end of the month. I'd be pretty surprised. But yeah, I mean, that's the majority of it, really. There's not much more to say. Now, obviously, if NVIDIA ultimately breaks out, because you have to understand, once we get to 130, that's where I will start turning bearish again, right? And that's where everyone will probably start telling me that, oh, it's going to 160, right? Whatever. The point is, you have to understand, we're still ultimately, the overall structure is still lower lows, lower highs, right? Until we break this chain, we can technically just do this forever. Well, not forever, but, for, longer, essentially, right? So NVIDIA ultimately will want to actually break out of 130, make its way back down like this, retest it, and then move higher. That's what it ultimately wants to do for a true move to fresh all-time highs, right? That's what needs to happen. Are we there just yet? Not necessarily, but it's not looking too bad. For instance, if you take the Fibonacci from down all the way over here, bring it up all the way over here, you can see we actually pretty much got to that sweet spot on the Fibonacci's down here as well. So This could have been just a very healthy retracement, and then it's getting ready to actually go to all-time highs. That, that is a real possibility, but I'm only convinced of fresh all-time highs if we break out of this downward channel, which maybe we will, right? You don't know for sure. We absolutely could. But until that happens, you assume that you kind of like over here, you most likely continue downwards. At some point, I think it'll break out. This could be the time, but again, that's something you need to you need to see some confirmation of that. You don't just assume it will. You need to see it happen. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for watching. Options flow for NVIDIA. Pretty sure it was not that crazy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pretty muted as well for NVIDIA. Nice bull flow actually throughout the day. Definitely the bull stepping in once again for the stock. We had a nice golden sweep here coming in for 2 million coming in for next week, actually 110 strike. Pretty nice. But this also came in at 121. So yeah, that's pretty much where NVIDIA's at right now. So someone's clearly bullish for next week. So let's see. I mean, I can't say I fully disagree. I think potentially early in the week we could get a bit of pain, like I said. But yeah, I do think the stock overall is looking pretty good. But I do want to see like 118 personally. That's where I'll be very interested to buy some shares. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. See you next week. Peace.